Wow, look at this new game that's came out. Five Nights at Freddy's 3. What do you think, Mue?
Well, let's look at the game and find out. I'm out.
Mue?
You're not bringing me back. This is supposed to be Five Nights at Freddy's, not abandoned by Disney.
What the hell? Oh my god! You know what, folks? We're gonna go ahead and take a break for now.
30 minutes later.
Okay, let's go ahead and get Mue back on the line here. Who is this?
Oh, hey, wow, day 4. I knew you could do it. Hey, listen, I may not be around to send you a message tomorrow. It's been a bad night here for me.
Are you okay there, buddy?
I'm kind of glad that I recorded my messages for you when I did. Hey, do me a favor. Maybe sometime you could check inside those suits in the back room. I'm going to try to hold out until someone checks. Maybe it won't be so bad. Yeah, I always wondered what was in all those empty heads back there.
I'm gonna go now, and yeah, that was weird. Okay, that's why. Just transpose the last 2 digits. Okay, here we go. Mue, are you there?
I'm not coming back.
Why?
That game is just too scary for me.
Hey, don't worry. It's already 7 a.m. and you know that this crap ends at 6, so you're good.
I don't care. Freddy can be anywhere.
Like, possibly right behind you?
Not coming back. I'm not coming back.
Just come back to the studio and you'll be fine.
What's in it for me?
Podcast, baby.
Alright, fine. But if there's more scares in it, I'm leaving.
Gotcha. Good evening, everybody. This is Skynet 928.
And I'm Mule.
And together, we are
The
8-Bit Outlaws. Hello, everybody. Welcome again to episode number 2. We are so glad that you decided to come back to us.
I'm surprised we came back.
Oh, yeah. Indeed. Today, we have new topics. We have Five Nights at Freddy's 3, Phoenix Wright, War Thunder, and the question of the day for you guys to consider. Should games be released at the same rate at Five Nights at Freddy's? We'll get to that in the end of the episode. So stay tuned
and find out our responses to that question.
Hold on to your britches, baby.
What are britches?
I have no idea. I just thought it sounded cool. So, with the new Five Nights at Freddy's 3 being released on March 2nd, Scott Cawthorn has released yet another installment of the trilogy Five Nights at Freddy's. Some people are speculating that this is going to be the last game. Some people are speculating that there may be even a 4th game. Quite honestly, I think that this should be the last one in the trilogy. Your thoughts, Mue?
I also agree with that because it kind of seems this game was a little bit forced compared to the last 2. The first one was its own premise, and the second one made sense because it cleared up the whole bite of 87. But this one really doesn't have much sense in the trilogy. It was just made to see what would happen to the souls of the little kids, is what I feel it was made for.
And the fact that Scott Cawthorn puts in the endings, basically good ending, bad ending,
and neutral ending. So there's 3 endings.
It just basically goes to show you that basically your actions in the game reflect the outcome of the ending, which is a very interesting twist compared to the actual Five Nights at Freddy's and Five Nights at Freddy's 2. So, with you being able to decide the fate of possibly the children, since I'll be honest with you, I am not fully sure what's happening, but I'm willing to believe that the children get their revenge on the purple guy, the murderer, at least in the good ending, What are your thoughts on this, Miwe?
Well, first of all, spoiler alert, because even though, really, how much can you spoil from that Five Nights at Freddy's? Everyone just sees it for the storyline. You have 3 endings, and what we saw was the bad ending, which is weird, because we saw the purple guy getting killed, and we would suspect that would be the good ending, right? But the bad ending thing came up. Then the neutral ending is that the place burned down, and then finally there's a good ending, but I don't understand how do you get the good ending, or what's the difference between the good and the bad ending?
Well, if you take a look at videos such as Markiplier and PewDiePie's videos, basically you'll see that in those mini games that you actually have to end up playing, you actually get like these secret little codes. There's sometimes numbers that appear, sometimes patterns. I mean, it's really weird. Like, I've actually done some research online. Sometimes, like, I know one of the mini games that you have to bring up is for Chica. You have to click on the 4 cupcakes that are scattered throughout the entire facility. But the problem is that first and foremost, they're hard to spot initially. And then on top of that, you also have to look at them in the dark. And with the area being pretty dark, yeah. And then there's other ones where you have to click on tiles on the wall. There's other ones where you have to actually go to a fucking game in the middle of the actual thing. It's really, really weird, but it's really worth it if you really try to look for these Easter eggs. And you can actually get the good ending, you can get the neutral ending, or you can get the bad ending. But overall, it's a very good game. I've seen gameplay of it. I can't wait to try to get my hands on it because I really want to try it myself. Because, to be honest with you, Scott Cawthorn really just put a lot of effort, a lot of new mechanics into this game, and it's just very terrifying to have to look out. And then the jump scares are just absolutely amazing. You got them looking even more scary. You got them looking even more terrifying. It's just, Jesus Christ.
Let me add this. You can't die with the jump scares now. You can only die when it's the jump scare by the new character Springtrap, which is that golden Bonnie looking character. The rest of the characters are just hallucinations, and when they jump scare you, they're just wasting your time.
As far as I'm concerned, I think they are hallucinations as well, because, I mean, the fact that the jump scares don't kill you like they did in the original Five Nights at Freddy's and Five Nights at Freddy's 2 basically leads me to believe that this guy is suffering hallucinations. But my real question is, who the hell is this guy who's monitoring the place, and what significance does he really play inside the game itself? But I guess that's going to be something that we're going to have to leave for a later time.
Well, I was just going to comment. They explain why the hallucinations happen.
Really now?
The hallucinations happen because there's a ventilation system in the game. And that ventilation system can actually shut down and you have to wait for it to reboot. So while it's rebooting, there's lack of oxygen in the building, which very poorly made building, as I might add.
Asbestos!
And, of course, the poor security guard is suffering from lack of oxygen, and that, of course, causes hallucinations in people. That and also having to worry about the place burning down at any moment if you don't watch the stuff. That's actually something that add in the game. You can't let the place burn down either.
The lack of oxygen seems very real. I forgot how to breathe. Oh, never mind. I just realized how to breathe again. Anyways.
And then let's analyze a new character, Springtrap.
Who the hell is he? Or she? Or it?
Or they.
What?
Springtrap is a they. It's a combination of all the past animatronics.
An explanation. I demand one.
So this game takes place 30 years after the first Five Nights at Freddy's game, where of course it doesn't do well because of all this stuff that happened. Look back into the first Five Nights at Freddy's to figure that part out. So these skater dudes decide to bring it back as a night, like a Halloween kind of haunted house kind of place. And of course, they hired this guy to be the security guard, not only to look after the place, but to be part of the attraction. So, for some reason, they want to test out this game for 5 nights before the attraction actually opens. And they couldn't get all the parts. They could only get certain parts of the animatronics, and they had to combine that to make it into one. And so the name it's given as Springtrap, and you kind of see why when you listen to the tutorial phone calls from the phone guy.
Essentially, you can put yourself into these suits, but be very careful not to activate the spring traps inside the suits, because it could end up, I don't know, causing you a severe case of not breathing, heart failure,
or cutting the whole body up.
So if you just by any chance happen to set off these straps, please try to direct your bleeding away from the sensitive parts, because we kind of do need this animatronic running. But hey, who am I kidding? This job is completely safe. You got nothing to worry about.
Oh yeah, make sure no bleeding on the customers.
Yeah, because remember, you're the face of Freddy Fazbear's, the #1 attraction, and the children's love, yada yada yada, whatever.
Was this place designed by Cave Johnson?
Sure, why not?
So we have Springtrap is the only living animatronic in the whole game. All the other animatronics are just hallucinations in the mind of the security guard, and you could say probably created by the souls of the kids that are still haunting the place.
As far as I'm concerned, if you get the good ending, you notice that the animatronics' heads are lying around, as well with the bad ending. If you get the bad ending, you have the animatronics' heads lying around. But the notable difference is that when you get the good ending versus the bad ending, in the good ending, there's no lights inside of the eyes, whereas in the bad ending, there are lights still inside of the animatronics' heads, which would come to indicate saying that in the good ending, if you actually do what you're supposedly supposed to do, you free the children because they get revenge on their murderer, the whole Bite of 87, or I don't know how this all would tie in.
Basically on the purple guy. The purple guy killed him.
So basically, on the good ending, their souls can finally rest in peace, which would explain why the lights are off. But in the bad ending, apparently you screwed up, and they're still haunting the actual animatronics. What purpose they'll serve afterwards is beyond me, but hey, why not, right?
And yeah, basically, yeah, your job is to get these kids to finally rest in peace. The poor kids have been suffering for years, ever since 87, and even before 87. Like, they're saying the first child was the marionette, and then the other 5 children were in the suits that were probably killed by the spring traps and Freddy, Golden Freddy, Chica, Foxy, and Bonnie. Once they finally explain how the springs work inside of each of the animatronics.
So basically, they've been in those animatronics for quite a bit of time. If it started in 87, assuming that Five Nights at Freddy's, because everybody knows that Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was the first game, and then Five Nights at Freddy's, and basically in order of timeline, but in order of games, yes, Five Nights at Freddy's is first, then Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Yeah, shut up. Anyways.
Actually, it was even before that. Even before 87 that they got killed. Because 87 was when they made the new animatronics. But before then, they were already complaining about the smell in the old animatronics.
But see, if that's the case, and then on top of the 30 years after the latest one closes down, that pretty much gives you an idea of just how long they've been stuck in there. But basically, give the game a try if you haven't already. If you don't want to give the game a try, go ahead and give like people like Markiplier or PewDiePie a try. Watch them actually play. My personal suggestion, I actually kind of like. I mean, I love both of them equally. But personally, for me, I'm more towards a Markiplier fan myself because he has better reactions. At least in my honest opinion, I find him a lot funnier when he reacts to the jump scares and all the crazy shit that's going on around him.
Or if you don't want to deal with any of the jump scares or any of the whole fearing for your life that something's going to scare you, take a look at the Five Nights at Freddy's wiki. They're always updating with new stuff found in the game, and probably in a few weeks they're going to have all the information updated for their game.
And with Five Nights at Freddy's 3 covered, we can go ahead and move on to our next topic, Phoenix Wright. This is a Mue topic. Mue?
So we all know Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney is such a popular franchise. I can't say Phoenix Wright only because it's called the Ace Attorney franchise, seeing as though the 4th game is the Polo Justice Ace Attorney.
In the 4th game, he was Phoenix Wrong.
More like Phoenix Piano Player Hobo. Anyway, I'm not gonna include too many spoilers because Skynet over here has not finished the games.
All I know is if any of you fuckers mess it up for me, you will all get a boot to the head.
So, Well, we're noticing this new game is actually a prequel, which translated the title is called Great Turnabout Trial: The Adventures of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Of course, once it gets North America released, you're gonna see
Who's the head?
I was gonna say you're gonna see it's gonna be changed to probably Ace Attorney and Something Right, because this is supposed to be Phoenix Wright's ancestor. He is supposedly one of the first lawyers in Japan when the idea of having a lawyer was becoming popular. What's really interesting about this game is though it has the 3D elements from the 5th game, it's actually borrowing from level 5 and the Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton game. And I'm not talking about the puzzles, because trust me, Skynet here hates the puzzles in the game.
Fuck those motherfucking puzzles!
I in turn love the puzzles, he hates them, so that's why he's never going to play any Professor Layton games.
As far as I'm concerned, I hope Professor Layton gets a boot to the head.
Please ignore him on that. Anyway,
Lifetime supply of boot to the head.
What I found interesting is it's gonna be now the system of Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton, where
he gets a boot to the head.
No, where you get to cross-examine 5 witnesses at a time. If you had gone to that part, you would have seen that now the trials, instead of cross-examining 1 at a time, you're gonna have to cross-examine 5 witnesses at a time.
Can I give him boots to the head?
No, and stop with the boot to the head already.
Boot to the crotch?
And also, what's really interesting is the addition of a certain character, which is the famous Sherlock Holmes. I'm guessing they needed a great detective to take the place of Professor Layton, so...
Oh yeah, I love Indiana Jones.
Sherlock Holmes.
I thought we were... I totally thought we were on the same page here.
No, Indiana Jones was in the 50s. Sherlock Holmes was a series of books from the 1800s.
I'm gonna go grab a snack. You can keep talking about this.
And Watson is an 8-year-old girl.
I can't hear you.
Okay, so he's gone. Basically, that's what we're seeing. This game is going to take place really in the past, and the timeline says it's Japan, but knowing Capcom of America, they're probably going to switch it around to say that, oh, it's taking place in California, in a very Japanese part of California.
Insert boot to the head joke here.
Anyways, yes, and what's really interesting is how they're interpreting the characters. Of course, Sherlock Holmes is no mystery. He's going to be working alongside the lawyer character in this story and helping him out with the investigation and basically helping with establishing his own theories. And the lawyer has to check to see if the theories are right or wrong. Basically, kind of like how Gumshoe was in the first 3 games.
I'm back. Oh. Great sandwich. And
then, of course, Sherlock Holmes has his own little assistant, which has always been Watson. Dr. Watson in the games, right? And well, not in the games, but I mean Dr. Watson in the movies and the books. In this version, they actually envision Watson to be an 8-year-old girl who is very intelligent.
Wait, Watson's a girl? Oh, this sandwich is delicious. I thought Watson was a guy. Hey, oh, come on!
Yes, Watson is now being envisioned by the Japanese creators as an 8-year-old girl. If I'm getting the age wrong, please correct me on this, but I'm pretty sure I saw 8-year-old. Anyway, she's super smart, and she's actually the one writing the Sherlock Holmes series as the events are happening. Kind of think of it how Gabrielle did the same for Xena back in Xena Warrior Princess. If you know what I mean, great. If you don't and are clueless like Skynet, Google it.
No, don't Google it. Instead, Google a boot to the head.
But I'm really excited because it's supposed to be coming out, I think in April. Or it was said, not April, but it was said a spring 2015 release. So I'm really hoping we get more information about it. And I know Japan's going to have it first, and then we're going to have like them telling us, oh, what's going to be the English localized version. Unless they're planning on keeping this in Japan like they did the second Miles Edgeworth investigation series. Which if they do, they're going to have a riot on their hands.
Edgeworth.
Yes, people are still upset that the U.S. has never really gotten the second Edgeworth investigation game. We have gotten the first. I played half of it, but I haven't played the second half because it wasn't really my game, and I'm still waiting to get the game for myself. But after I finish that first game, I'm gonna probably see if I can find a way to play the second game. Not gonna say how.
Edgeworth.
So Google how if people want to do it.
How I despise Edgeworth.
And hopefully we get the game because they're really promoting it on YouTube and they're promoting it in different like teaser images everywhere. So I'm really looking forward to the game because I just finished playing the new HD trilogy. I played this is the first time I played the first game through. So I played the second and the third games before, but this is the first time I actually got to play the first game, and playing it in such beautiful quality was great. And hopefully now, Skynet is going to be able to finish the games now that he has a way to play them.
Edgeworth!
Okay, so...
May he get a boot to the head.
So, as soon as we get more information on it, I will keep you guys posted on the game. Until then, I'm gonna take it over back to Skynet, because he just played a new game that he's really excited to tell you guys about.
Yay! It's called Thunder War. Thunder War. War Thunder. It is basically a game filled with tanks. Tank. Thank you, Gaijin Goomba, for that one. I gotta give him credit for that one. Basically, what War Thunder is, it seems like a 1940s kind of World War I, World War II thing. Not really sure. I'm gonna go with World War II. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. I will ignore. Take your comments into consideration. Why not? But basically, I love the level of realism that they put into this game, actually. The level of realism is just so surreal. Basically, you have tanks that look like they're battle ready. You have them look like they're not brand new, but basically, they actually have been used already in missions previous to the one that you're currently in. Same thing with the warplanes. They don't look pristine and brand new like they normally do in most other games. And this game actually does a really good job of actually giving you a real life experience. Now, if you have a powerhouse computer that is able to process all the graphics at a movie-like quality, I really recommend maxing out the settings. I really recommend it because as far as I'm concerned, it looks so beautiful when you max out the settings and you have everything playing at movie-like quality. I mean, Jesus Christ. The effects are so real. The sounds are so real. And then when you take damage, if your gunner gets damaged, you have a harder time turning the turret or reloading if your loader gets wounded, or like if your driver gets killed, your tank stops moving because obviously you don't have someone driving the damn thing. And it takes time for the crew members to switch out the dead crew member or the injured crew member with someone who's clearly capable. And then even when you switch somebody out, it clearly shows in the performance, because I've had games where I'm doing really well and then all of a sudden they knock out my driver and then I have to wait for some other crew member to replace him. And then when he replaces him, I notice that the tank doesn't run as well because this guy doesn't know how to drive the tank as well as the guy who just got killed. And the damage is just so realistic. When you get hit in a certain area, it gets damaged. When your tracks get damaged, they fall off, and basically your tank handles exactly like that. Now, some of the elements have been taken out because these tanks weren't necessarily what you consider the most reliable of tanks. And more often than not, sometimes they would have mechanical issues with them. But that would just ruin a gameplay experience if you were to just go online and then soon as...
Fire everywhere.
Exactly. It would just really kill it for me. But these guys did a really good job with it, and I just really appreciate the attention to detail that they put into all of this. I mean, it just looks so accurate, it feels accurate, and it kind of gives you an idea of what it was like to fight in these kind of conditions. It kind of gives you an idea of what these people had available to them. And it's just so nice to see that there's somebody out there, there's a developer out there who is really just taking the time and effort to recreate these experiences instead of just putting out a crappy ass game that doesn't really handle like the real thing. And I expected, when I first heard about this, I really expected to actually have to pay a premium or something to actually play the game. But no, it's free to play. I mean, you're welcome to play with a premium account if you purchase one, or you can just simply play with a free account. And honestly, for me, I'm just going to continue playing with the free account because as far as I'm concerned, it's not really worth it for me to get the premium. I really don't mind grinding through levels. I really don't mind having to play with stock tanks and stock paint jobs. But honestly, if you guys want to play with me online, go ahead and go online. Look for my username, Skynet928. It's not that hard to look for it, and I should be online. If I see your friend request, I'll accept it. We can play online more often. Same thing goes for League of Legends. If you see me in League of Legends, you can add me. I believe my username is Skynet928. If I'm wrong, I'll pretty much put it in the comment sections below what my username actually is, so you guys can find me. But yeah, I invite you guys to come online. I invite you guys to play online with me. But don't be surprised if I get real upset during War Thunder, because I get really passionate about the game, especially since I'm a real war buff. I actually have talked to some of these veterans, so I really have kind of an idea of what driving these tanks are like. I mean, it gets very hot and uncomfortable in there, and y'all are thinking, well, how do you know this? Well, like I said, I mean, I've talked to these war veterans. I mean, sadly, they've already passed on, but most of these war veterans were telling me what the conditions were like and how scared they were and how they feared for their lives when they were flying these planes or when they were driving these tanks directly into the fields of war, you know. And it's just so surreal taking it in from their perspective, actually seeing the war the way they saw it. But in all honesty, if you're really interested, I would recommend talking to a veteran and just let them share their experience and their story with you, and just take the time to listen. And if you really want to try out a new game, like I said, try out War Thunder. I think you guys are going to like it if you're really into the shoot 'em up games. They have planes, they have tanks. I really wish they would have some naval battles, but I don't really see how that would be incorporated into the game. But if Gaijin Entertainment can actually incorporate that in there, I would absolutely love them for it. Well, that's about all the time we have for today. But before we end the podcast, let's go ahead and go on to our question of the day. Yue?
The question of the day today is, should games be released at the same rate as Five Nights at Freddy's?
Five Nights at Freddy's had their initial releases for Five Nights at Freddy's August 8th, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 November 11th, and Five Nights at Freddy's 3 March 2nd. Now, basically, the way I see it, if the game is going to be good, like Five Nights at Freddy's, I think they should go for it. As long as it's not a piece of crap. Duke Nukem 3D and Duke Nukem Forever. Now, don't get me wrong. Duke Nukem 3D was a really good game. I really liked that. But basically, Duke Nukem Forever was the exact opposite, at least in my honest opinion and from what I've heard. I mean, in all honesty, I think in order for me to be fair, I would need to give Duke Nukem Forever a second playthrough because I haven't really given the game a chance. But it seems like a repackaged version of Duke Nukem 3D, and it's just like some of the jokes just don't really fit well in there. Like, back in the 80s, I understood the joke of like, oh, Duke Nukem goes up to a pinball machine with his face on it. You try to make him play it, and he's like, oh, don't have time to play with myself. And you think of a masturbation joke on that one. But nowadays, it's like, that's not really that funny. And quite honestly, it's like, to me, I don't really care about the graphics. I don't really care about how pretty everything looks. All I care about is the replay value. If I finish this game, what are the chances of me coming back to this game and replaying it again because it was just so damn good? Like Five Nights at Freddy's, I love the original game and I want to go play it again, and I want to play Five Nights at Freddy's 2 again. And even though I've already finished the game, I want to play them again because it was just so good. I mean, the replay value was there. And honestly, my take on it is that if you're going to release a game and it's going to be good, then hey, release new games as often as you want. But if it's going to be crap like Duke Nukem Forever, then please don't.
My opinion on this, it just depends on what kind of game you're talking about. If it's a game like, say, Ace Attorney games where it's more story-based than co-op based, then go ahead, release it as fast as you want. That's nice as long as it's a good story, because you mostly play those games for the story wise. So when you're reading a good book, you're like, I want to know the next part as fast as I can. And that's why that's good for those type of games. But you're also looking at co-op games. Pokemon, for example, would not be a good choice for it to be released at the same rate as Five Nights at Freddy's, because you can make the game obsolete too fast. It's kind of like, oh, I just bought the 5th generation, and suddenly a year later the 6th generation comes out. So I only get like 1 year to experience the full experience of my game before it becomes obsolete. Or Disney Infinity. Disney Infinity, we just got 2.0, and now 3.0 is coming out.
And they have no idea how much this pisses me off.
We just got it before they released the last one, which was Jasmine. And we were hoping, oh, they're going to release more. Well, the only 2 more they released were Tron characters that was only made for mobile. Which
really sucks. But as far as I'm concerned, it's like, come on, guys. If you're going to release a game, at least fix the fucking bugs in the one beforehand.
And Disney Infinity, while I love the game, I love collecting the little figures and making my own world, I just don't like how it updates so fast, and what the updates do, it makes the last game not only obsolete, you can't play the features from the last game if you update. We never got to experience Disney Infinity 1.0, and there were 3 storylines there that we never got to experience, and we can't experience it in the 2.0. So that's a real tragedy, and now things we can experience in 2.0, I'm afraid we probably won't be able to experience it in 3.0 again if we update.
So basically, that's our take on the question of the day. If you guys have any other suggestions for other questions of the day, be sure to leave it on the comment section below. And if we like it, then we'll get to it and we'll try to answer it. If not, then hey, if we have enough collected up, we'll have a whole entire episode dedicated to nothing but questions of the day, which we can call questions of the day. Yeah, I don't know how to put it as plural. But that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for tuning in to episode 2. I'm Skynet.
And I'm Yue.
And we are the 8-Bit Outlaws.
And remember, talking's not a crime.